Welcome back to She Leads the Line, the podcast where we explore the stories of women who are shaping the telecom and infrastructure industry. I'm your host, Abby Crawford, and today I am thrilled to be joined by Victoria Weidenthaler. Victoria is a legal leader in the wireless infrastructure space with deep expertise shaping policy, regulatory advocacy, and mentoring the next generation of professionals in telecom. Victoria, thank you so much for being here today. I'm so excited to have you.
Me too. I love talking about WWLF, so thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. So before we dive in, I always like to start with a little bit of your story, how you got here, and what drew you to this unique intersection of law and telecom.
Yeah, so I think like most people, like telecom kind of fell in my lap. I actually had a background more so working in legal services at legal aid, and I was doing some like moonlighting contract review and drafting for a larger law firm. And they
Super cool.
had some telecom contracts at the time that were in litigation. So that was like my first experience with telecom. And from that, actually, Crown Castle contacted me, and I started working there as a contract specialist and had a few different promotions. And now I'm at SBA as corporate counsel in the legal compliance department. And so it's definitely not something I thought I would be doing when I went to law school, but it's actually a lot of fun and I enjoy it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like that's kind of the story with a lot of people in this industry is they're like, yeah, I never planned on it, but here I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah. It's like we use these devices all the time, but like working in the infrastructure industry that makes all of this happen wasn't something I ever thought I'd be doing.
It's so true. So I would love to hear how your early experiences at Crown Castle shaped your approach to legal strategy as you've progressed in your career.
Yeah, so Crown Castle, I think, was really my first roles in telecom. It's where I began to have a lot more experience and knowledge about how the industry works, the business terms. I know we talked about all the acronyms and a lot of those things that I was able to learn like in that part in my career. And I feel like I really used the opportunity working there to learn a lot about our industry. So RF and how that works, how the structural aspect of towers work, how the real estate side works. And I think that having all of those opportunities and experiences really allowed me to have a solid foundation to build and have different positions within telecom after that. And I would just encourage anyone who is like newer to telecom, like definitely ask for help or ask to sit down, ask to
Mm.
pick people's brains, ask questions. That's what I did. And I felt like I was received with, a lot of help and a lot of information that I think really did allow me to just, like I said, build a good foundation for the rest of my career.
So cool. I want to kind of piggyback off of that and lean into policy and advocacy. So those are such critical aspects of telecom infrastructure. And when you're working with these local, state, and federal stakeholders, how do you approach building those relationships and navigating that landscape? Because, like you were just saying, connections are huge.
Yes, that is a huge part of it. And so I think that really knowing our industry does matter. It helps
Yeah.
when you can know the experts that you need to bring in, like an RF
Yeah.
engineer, to explain what, coverage and capacity are. And then also, I think it's a really collaborative relationship. I was able to be part of some of the first like small cell deployments in the Southeast. And so at that time, there really wasn't a framework for how to build a small cell in the public right of way. It wasn't something that was really done up until that point in the early like 2014, 2015s. And so I think a lot of it was working together with
Mm.
municipalities to come up with regulations at a state level, at a local or at a local level, excuse me, and just really be able to reach our end goal, which is bringing the carrier on air, allowing people to utilize their cell phones with good service. And for the municipalities, also making sure that they felt there was some type of framework there that was workable for their staff, for their specific, jurisdictions as well. In the southeast where I was, I mean, there's a lot of historic areas like Nashville, Charleston. There
Yeah.
are even some in South Florida. And so, just keeping all of those things in mind and collaborating and talking through it, I think is definitely the best approach.
Love it. So you are clearly a boss lady, which I love. Beyond your day-to-day work, you have been deeply involved with organizations like WWLF and WIA. What drives your commitment to these organizations, and how have they shaped your perspective on leadership?
Yeah, so I think for me, I've had like personal experiences where organizations or people, in my life that I've crossed paths with, just really were able to influence the decisions I made or
Mm-hmm.
have an impact on me that really like steered me in a certain direction, sometimes without
Yeah.
even steering me. And one example I think of is a professor that I had when I was in undergrad, and I wasn't even sure if I was going to go to law school or not, but I went to Northern Illinois University and they have a law school on campus. And my political science professor asked me to sit in his law school class. And so I
Oh.
did, and he called on me in the class. And I was just like, wait, I'm here to observe like what's going on right now. I'm just supposed to be like listening. And so
That's so funny.
I give an answer and like he moves on with the lecture. And afterwards we spoke about it and he was like, you need to go to law school. And I think
Wow.
he was like showing me I belonged there
Mm,
without like telling me that like you belong here. And so I think like I want to be like that person for other people where some small gesture, like come sit in on my class, right? Like had a
mm,
huge impact on what I chose to do with my life professionally. And I think WWLF is a great organization in that regard because there's mentorship. We have a mentoring
mm,
program that usually has, 20 plus companies throughout the industry participate, and that's an opportunity for mentees to have an experienced professional who has more than 10 years of experience in our industry mentor them. We also have our like landmark program, the fellowship award program, which every year we provide an all expenses paid trip to Connect X. We provide a
mm.
mentor as well as a professional coach for a woman in telecom with less than 5 years of experience. And so I think organizations like WWLF really stood out to me when I was earlier on in my career because it embodies a lot of the things that I feel like I leaned into when I was in that same place in my like professional journey.
That is so awesome. Yeah, I love hearing just the power of mentorship. I mean, it's such an important part of growing in any industry. What has been the most rewarding part of mentoring others in this space?
So I think it's always really neat and exciting when someone you helped, and it could be, we're meeting weekly, or it could be they just came to me for advice on a
Mm.
question or a situation, and they come back and tell you, the good news. For me, I feel like that really makes me feel like I helped the person, and I get a lot of joy out of hearing the ways that other people have been positively impacted by our conversations, and I think that's the thing I like the most and the most rewarding.
That's so special. That's so special.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've you and that's the thing too is like you never forget, like you were just saying that one professor that mentored you, you never forget even those smallest conversations, the smallest moments, like
Yeah.
those matter so much. The fact that now you're able to give those to somebody else is so special.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Thank
Yeah, of
you.
course. I want to shift to your experience as a woman in legal and telecom leadership, a space that's still evolving. What has your journey been like in leadership, and have there been any pivotal moments for you where you maybe have had to advocate for yourself or for others?
Yes, definitely. So, I mean, telecom itself, is primarily, I think, male dominated. In the legal field, at least when I was in law school, I haven't checked the statistics recently, was also male dominated. And so, I think that, even today we see some of that. And so for me, it's really important to like rally around each other. And
Mhm.
I think about just kind of that concept of like lifting as you climb and, as
Mm,
you're moving up, really helping to pull others up behind you. And I think that that goes for men and women in our industry. I've had some really great male mentors as well, and they have helped me to, outline like what my career looks like, how I move on to the next role, and the things that I need to do and complete professionally from a professional development perspective to take the next steps in my career that I want to. And so I think that it's really just it's incumbent on like me as well, to advocate for myself. And I
yeah.
think it's also important for me as I like move up to kind of bring others with. And I also think that, others have done the same for me. And so that's just the way that I think it all should function in an ideal world.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's a big reason why I started this podcast was just because I want it to be something that other women are seeing other women in the room and they're like, "Oh, they can be there. Like, so can I." And I love that sort of encouragement. It's not just like talking the talk, but actually walking the walk.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that it's sometimes even just, little things, right? Like my manager inviting me to sit in on a board meeting. Like that's a huge
Yeah.
opportunity for me to be able to see how board meetings are conducted at a publicly traded company and to have the opportunity to have the exposure. And so I think that, no matter how big or how small, like, opportunities like that really do help to push women into leadership roles and to really give them more exposure, like you touched on, looking around the room and seeing others like yourself. It is important. And I think even if it's subconsciously, right, like you make note of that for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My one of my favorite um conversations that I've had, I think it was with Jill Keeney, and she made a statement. She said, "It's not about a capable man or a capable woman. It's about a capable person." And I
Mhm.
love that because it's so
Yeah.
true. And that's what I'm trying. This isn't about taking away from anything that men are doing. I mean, men have been the leaders in my life that have gotten to me to where I am now. So nothing take away from them, but just to empower all human beings, period, no matter what, just the capable person is the one that should be in the room.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I'm grateful to have like leadership that views it exactly that way. I've even like had someone say like we hire the best person for the job, and
Mm,
like period. And I thought that that was like you said, it is like the great way to phrase it because it's about the capabilities, it's about your intellect, and to me that I think means even more. So
yeah, me too. Exactly. Me too. It's literally like overall, I am the person for this job. Yeah, it feels
yeah,
good. It feels
yeah,
good.
yeah,
So
exactly.
I want to think about the next generation. What advice would you give to women that are entering either the legal or infrastructure careers today?
Yeah, so that's a really, really good question. And when I think about that, like the first thing that comes to mind, and not just because she's also in the legal field, but a Supreme Court Justice, Ketanji Brown Jackson, she was giving similar advice, and her advice was persevere. And
Mm,
I love that because I think it's kind of like that iceberg concept where like you only see part of what's really going on. And I think it takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of people like lifting you up, supporting you, like a good network. I think organizations like WWLF do a great job with that. And I also think like you don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? Like
yeah.
you can be supported through like WWLF, for example. Even when you touched on law school, so even when I was in law school, I was in Women in Law and the Black Law Students Association. So I think that finding those ways that you can be supported when you need the support is really important. But I like what she said about like persevering because it's like, you know, it takes time, right, sometimes to get to where you want to go. And I think that putting in the hard work, doing a good job, being kind, I think that goes a long
Yeah.
way. Like those are all things that I think I would tell, future women entering legal or telecom careers.
I love that. Yeah, keep planting seeds. Keep planting seeds.
Yeah.
I tell myself that every day. I'm like, the fruit will come. Just keep planting the seeds. And it's
Yeah, and
true.
I love that you're saying that because like one seed that I'm trying to plant, it's a two-term presidency, or I'm sorry, not two-term, it's a 2-year term presidency for WWLF, and I can't believe a year's flown by. And so when I look and reflect at like what do I want to like leave behind. And like I really want to plant this seed for women that are mid-career. So
Yeah.
hopefully not like sharing too much before I'm supposed to, but we're looking at ways that we can really invest in women that are mid-career, that we talk about workforce development and future leaders in telecom and making sure that there's a pipeline of leadership there. And so I think that doesn't just happen overnight. Like we
Mm.
have programs in place for women new to telecom, but also starting to really, um, you know, just add more resources for the women that are mid-career and having opportunities for them for professional development and mentorship beyond what we do now is really like one of the seeds I'm trying to plant before my term's over. So
Oh, I
more to come.
love that. Thank you for sharing. I was literally just
Yeah.
about to add my next question was what's next for you professionally or personally, but that is really exciting.
Yeah. That is. I mean, it's obviously work behind it in the WWLF executive leadership team and board. Has to help with all of this, and we all
Yeah.
put in a lot of work to make these initiatives happen. And so, as well as WIA, and so I think that we've all agreed that's a place where we can really hone in a little bit more. And so, we're looking forward to launching next year, like new initiatives to help with that.
Yay, that's so exciting. That's awesome. Yeah, keep planting the seeds. Love it.
Yes.
So, Victoria, as you reflect on your career as a whole so far, what legacy do you hope to leave in this industry?
Yeah, so I mean, it's really interesting when I think back on like my career in telecom because like 3G was like just getting rolled out when I joined telecom. So um it's yeah, I feel like it's a privilege, right, to be part of like something so great. And I think that I really want to be part of this industry when we're talking about 7 or 8G, but I
Yeah.
just hope that I can inspire people to enjoy what they're doing in this industry, to really recognize that they're making a change across the board. And I think when it comes to like WWLF, I really just want to make sure that we are, to use our like tagline, like keeping women connected, whether
Mm,
that's like leveraging the knowledge base we have, the expertise, the networks, so that they can achieve the growth that they desire. So, because my legacy is really just to hope that others kind of continue on working together in the industry.
Love it so much. This is exactly why I wanted you on this podcast because you're so kind, you're so real, and you just care very deeply for others. And I think that's such a beautiful thing. So thank you so much for sharing so much of your insights and experiences and advice. Before we wrap up, are there any final thoughts or any other last pieces of advice that you would like to leave our audience with?
The last thing that I would say is just to kind of foreshadow what's coming next year. I'm not sure when this is going to air, but we will be having our Women in Leadership Symposium. So, a lot of the things that you and I talked about today, we're going to talk about for 4 hours. Last year, we
Yay.
had over 100 women and men in the industry join us, and we have workshops where you can break into small groups and get feedback from telecom industry leaders. And the theme is being your authentic self. And so we have some great panelists and keynote speakers that's going to talk to us about that throughout our career journey. So I would say feel free to join us. You can find out more information on the ConnectX webpage.
I love that. I will link that webpage in the description so people can find it easily. That's super exciting.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Of
you. That would be
course.
great.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Victoria. This was absolutely wonderful, and I love talking to you. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to She Leads the Line. We will be back next week with another inspiring story from the women leading in telecom and infrastructure. Until next time, keep leading the line.